I'm Val Lyle, Art Now LLC. My specialty is making life-size commission bronzes, like Take the Stage, here in downtown Bristol, right across from the birthplace of Country Music Museum. This piece was commissioned by Marcia Marvin Gillum Jr. in memory of his mother, who was an art history teacher. And this has become a beloved sculpture for downtown Bristol. This piece was installed in 2014, and it is special for the city of Bristol because we have a musical heritage, bringing pride to Appalachia and bringing a new sense of personality for tourism. Sometimes people have an idea about what Appalachia is and what Appalachia stands for, and we really wanted to bring a sense of pride to our community, to folks that live here. So a committee decided to do two buskers, a gentleman playing the guitar and a lady playing the fiddle, to represent our musical heritage here in Bristol. We're in the Bristol, Tennessee, and Virginia. I incorporated a number of historical elements. I do a lot of research when I do a commission piece. So I wanted to make sure that when people pose for a selfie here, that you could see where you were. Bristol, Virginia, Tennessee. So this is based on an old-timey radio play card, but I invented this so that people could know that they were in Bristol, Tennessee, no matter what was on your Facebook or Instagram photo. The fiddle itself, I used a fiddler as a model, a real fiddler, and this, she donated her, well, I bought it for a very good price, her learning fiddle. So this was the fiddle from this model. I wanted to make sure that the sculptures were historically accurate. So I hired a specialist from the ETSU Bluegrass and Country Music School, Roy Andrade. I wanted to make sure that everything was perfect because I knew people would really check details. So when the model came to hold the fiddle, and I took a lot of photographs that I was going to work from, he went and asked her to hold the neck of the fiddle a little bit differently. She had classical lessons, and so we changed the way that she held the fiddle so that it was a country style. Also, you'll notice on the guitar head, we had a lot of conversation about what kind of guitar should this be. It's an MGM guitar, and the reason you may not have heard of that before is that's Marcia and Marvin Gillum. That's the sponsors of the sculpture. So I made an MGM guitar. On the guitar strap here, you'll see that it says AIPP. That stands for Art in Public Places. And the guitar strap itself was made by one of the members of the Clinch Mountain Boys. So I commissioned that strap to be made. There is a 1940s pick in his hand that has the marks on there. And if you'll look at the backside of the gentleman here, you'll see that he's wearing Pointer brand blue jeans. Pointer brand is the only blue jeans in America that never went overseas. The only denim company in America that was never went overseas is here in Bristol, Tennessee, Pointer brand. So I also hid a couple of things here and there, which is fun to do on sculptures. Some of the people who were very significant in the project, I've hidden some of their initials down here on the insides of the boots that were very significant in fundraising and getting permission. And there's a couple other things here and there on the piece. It takes about a year and a half usually from start to finish, from when a client has an idea and the first contact is made, and we start with drawings first. We start with a lot of conversation. What do you want the piece to convey to the audience? That's where you have to start. What kind of a reaction do you want from your audience? And then come backwards from there. How do you get that reaction? How do you get that emotion? So we usually start with drawings, get models. We changed this composition after we got live models, because we saw that for several people to stand here, he needed to hold his guitar in a way that wasn't going to hit people in the head every time. So we changed the angle of them some. Then I make a small maquette, a small model, and work out more details in that. Then that is sent to an enlarger, and it's milled out of blue foam, and that's sent back. And then that blue foam is skinned with oil clay, and then we put the fine detail in there. That's the typical way, and there are other ways to do it as well, but that's the typical way. And I can show you a lot of that process back at my studio. So back in the studio, I'm working with oil clay, which is the same really as clay you use in ceramic studio, except that ceramic studio clay has water as a binder and it dries out, and oil clay has oil as a binder, so it doesn't dry out. And you can see a project I'm working on here, a Labradoodle for a client, and the fact that it doesn't dry out means that I can work on it for several weeks or months if I need to. And this is the way that we're going to be doing the Fred Frice piece in Mountain City, and I'll be creating that in Mountain City. You'll be able to come and see the progress on the piece while it's being created. And we're going to offer a class on portrait sculpture that you can take. So I hope to see you there. Part of the process is you make your original out of whatever you're going to make it out of. And then you have to make a mold, and then you make a wax, and then you dip the wax, and then you pour it out, and then you do the bronze. So some of the process for Fred Frice, what I'm going to do, since his hands and arms are so important, being the noted famous fiddler that he was, that this piece is going to commemorate for Mountain City as part of the heritage, Appalachian heritage, commemorating him. I'm going to actually use alginate, which you may have had at the dentist one time. It's kind of a jelly thing that you can make. And I'm going to use a real fiddler, and I'm going to cast his arms up to about here with alginate, and then pour plaster in to get a lifelike cast to do the fingers and hands exactly. So this is a plaster cast from the fiddler's hands from the piece in Bristol. From that plaster piece, I shipped that off, and they cut it out of blue foam, and then I cover that blue foam with the oil clay. So this is the blue foam inside, and it has the oil clay on the outside. From there, we make a rubber mold. We paint rubber on there and build up layers. And then, of course, the rubber is floppy. It won't hold. So you put what we call a mother mold on top of the rubber, like that. And, of course, you do it on both sides. This would be a two-piece mold. That'd be the back, and there'd be the same thing on this side. And then once you get that done, you take it all apart, and you take this clay out. So you have a negative again. So you had your positive, your first positive, and now you have a negative with the rubber mold, and then it has two parts. And then we pour a special kind of wax called microcrystalline wax. And you slush it in this mold. You slush it around the hot wax, and it has to be exactly 3/16 thick all over everywhere. You do that, and then you take it apart, and then you get your wax out. This is the microcrystalline wax, and it is exactly the same as your original. And you can see there, it's a little bit thicker right there, but if we cut it off, it would be 3/16 all over. Now, this is taken and dipped into a high temperature ceramic slurry. They dip maybe 25 coats, build it up, let it dry between every coat, and then when that's dried, they'll turn it over and they'll put it in the furnace and they'll burn out the wax. So now we have another negative. So we had a positive, the rubber negative, the wax positive. Now we have the negative from the ceramic shell. Now we're ready to melt our bronze. Bronze melts, we take the temperature up to about 2300 degrees because you can pour it down to about 1800. So you want to take it up a little bit higher than that so that if it doesn't have fire on it, it is cooling down. So you take the pot of metal up to 2300, you take it out, and you pour it, you literally pour it in. We dip this in the ceramic slurry, build up about 25 coats, and then we burn the wax out, and we're melting bronze over here at about 2300 degrees. You take the crucible of bronze over, pour it into the void, and the bronze fills this exactly. Ta-da! Bronze. The same as the original. The same as your original there. That's the way that works. The size of the foundry, your bronzes will be done in pieces. So like for instance where we were just at in downtown Bristol, here you can see this is the oil clay of the Fiddle Girl, and she was originally a little model, just like we're doing with Fred Price. You'll see the maquette for it, and we'll send that off. They'll enlarge it in blue foam, and then we'll put the oil clay on top and do all the detail, and then they'll make a rubber mold, and then the plaster mother mold, and then they'll cast the wax, and that'll be dipped in slurry and then burn out, and then the bronze cast, and all the pieces will be welded together and patinaed. And this process, the oldest bronze that we know of is from Iran, and it's 7,000 years old. Then they were using what's called arsenic bronze, and about 5,000 years ago we talk about the Bronze Age. So that was when we switched to tin as the alloy mix. Art bronze is 88% copper and 12% tin. And the difference, like with brass is copper and zinc, for example. And trace minerals just make a huge difference. If it's 10% or 6%, it has a dramatic effect on the metal. And patina, it's all chemical formulas, and you have master patina artist. There's a lot to it. I mean, bronze as we know it, very little has changed in several thousand years. It's still done the same way. And the reason we make outdoor sculptures out of bronze is because, well, they're outdoor proof, and bronze can pick up minute details, and the maintenance and cleaning is easy and inexpensive. So that makes bronze an especially perfect material for outdoor sculptures. We are so looking forward to the Fred Price fiddling piece for downtown Mountain City. we are so excited to involve the community and being able to watch the piece being created in a storefront in an area downtown where that you'll be able to see the piece being made. We're excited to be able to offer classes that you can participate in and learn how to do portrait sculpture yourself. I personally am thrilled to be involved. My family comes from Mountain City. I'm related to the Shown family. We still have a home place there that we have regular family reunions. It's out. It's across from the prison. But it's a dearly beloved home place, and we still go there on a regular basis. My grandfather and my grandmother grew up in Mountain City. My mother was born at the family home place in Mountain City before they moved over here to Bristol. My great-grandparents were there. They were in logging and timber and lumber and milled lumber and brought down here to Bristol to build a family house here. So I'm thrilled to be able to be involved in a project that brings attention to our Appalachian heritage and our music heritage here in Mountain City.